Hey, and welcome to Unlearning Stress, the podcast where we break the rules and cycles that keep you overcommitted, overstretched, and just plain exhausted, and replace them with something better. No fluff, no guilt, just real talk, real solutions, and expert insights to help you shift the way you live. Whether you're here for the first time or you've been with me for a while, you're in the right place. I'm Michelle O'Neill, your resident emotional wellness coach, and I'm here to help you unlearn the patterns that are wearing you down so you can live with more ease, clarity, and control. Let's get to it. Hey, let's just call it what it is. You're not bored. You're over it. Over the calendar that's full but somehow feels empty. Over the tasks that check the boxes but don't touch your brain. Over the days that go by and leave you wondering, was I even in the room? And so you say, I'm just bored. But boredom is rarely just boredom. It's the early warning system of a woman who's run out of gas pretending what's in front of her still matters, or really that it ever did. You're not lacking something to do. You're surrounded by options. You're just tired of participating in things that don't hold your voice or your joy or your stretch. So today, let's talk about boredom for what it really is. Not a lack of movement, but a lack of meaning. Not a signal to do more, but a signal to stop performing that peace you're always seeking. This isn't about burnout. This is about what happens when the facade stays on so long that your nervous system forgets how to light up, how to be excited, how to feel alive. This isn't about productivity. This is about emotional survival masquerading as balance. And this conversation right here is not a pep talk. So if you're here for a pep talk, you're in the wrong room. This is an invitation to roost home, to wake your soul back up and stop outsourcing your aliveness. Look, I was thinking the other day, and I remember when I was a kid, and I remember every time I went, I'm bored. My mom didn't miss a beat. She'd give me the side eye, look at me, cock her head to the side, and say, Oh, you're bored, are you? Want me to give you something to do? And just like that, all of a sudden I was no longer bored. I found something to do. Suddenly I had all kinds of ideas because I really wasn't bored. I just didn't want to do what was available for me that time. I wanted something that felt fun, exciting, and worth doing. And that hasn't changed much, has it? As a woman, we don't say I'm bored out loud, but we feel it in the scrolling and the flatness and the way our eyes glaze over when we're doing something that doesn't move us. We feel it when we check all the boxes, do all the things, and still feel invisible at the end of the week. Boredom is so easy to call out, but it's rarely the real issue. Sometimes it's just the name we give to the ache of being disconnected from what matters to us. And most times, boredom is just covering something up. It's your internal buffer. It's a quiet shield. It's a way to avoid what we don't want to sit with, especially if that means sitting with ourselves, right? I believe that boredom is often protecting us from ourselves because when we're not busy performing or fixing or helping or running from here to there to this and that. We're left with our own thoughts, our own body, our own truth. And if we spent years tending to everything and everyone else, that kind of silence can feel a little uncomfortable, unbearable, maybe even painful, because now the attention turns to us and we don't know what to do with it. That's where this conversation is going today. Not into the hustle and not to the numbness, but really to the truth that we've been avoiding every time we pick up the phone, turn on the TV, scroll past that ache and tell ourselves, I'm just tired. Just don't feel like doing anything right now. So I'll just watch another one of these reels. Maybe it'll make me laugh. Here's the part nobody tells us: boredom doesn't just flatten your day, it actually rewires your brain. When your nervous system isn't getting stretched emotionally, creatively, spiritually, it doesn't scream at us, it dims. Your brain starts trimming off the parts of you that aren't being used. You know, the drive, that spark, that innocent curiosity. And it's not because you're lazy, but because your system has decided there's no point in reaching. Why? She's not going to do anything with it anyway. It's like a muscle that you haven't trained or haven't trained in a while. It doesn't disappear all at once, it just softens and weakens and folds inward, gets all wrinkly and ew. I saw this with my own body not long ago. And that's why I can say ew. My husband and I usually work out 3 times a week at minimum. But one winter, I don't know why, but we decided to stop. We have this home gym and it doesn't have a heater in it. And so it gets cold in there, and that metal, when you go to hold on to that metal, it's excruciating. It's really cold. And so we decided that we'll wait till it warms back up again and we'll start working out again. And so about 4 or 5 months, we didn't exercise. And we got lazy. It was even hard to want to anyway. But then one day we were doing something and we felt our arm, that skin under your arm, and we're like, "Ew, it feels kind of soft." And then we realized that things were dropping that they shouldn't have dropped. And so we weren't in crisis, but we did start to feel it. And we caught it soon enough, too. Our skin had changed. Like I said, our strength had faded. We weren't as strong, opening bottles and stuff wasn't just one quick turn. We just quietly, subtly faded until the mirror started asking the hard questions. And when we finally went back to the gym, because there was no way I was going to let myself just fade away like that in apathy. But anyway, and when we finally went back, it took way, way longer to regain what we lost than it did to lose it in the first place. Did you get that? Often when we let things go, it's even harder to get them back. And that's what stagnation does. Not just to your muscles, but to your mind. You stop dreaming, you stop initiating, you stop asking questions, not because you failed, but because nothing feels worth the effort. And what's worse, you don't even notice it right away. You just start calling it your new normal. But it's not normal. That's erosion. That's not emotional balance, it's emotional shutdown. That's your nervous system conserving energy because it believes there's nothing left to engage with. Here's the good news, because I always have to have good news for you. Just like those muscles came back for us, so can your joy, your energy, your curiosity, your fire. But it starts with admitting that you've gone numb, not broken. No, you're not broken, just numb. And here's the part where most women get stuck. You hear the words you need to re engage, and immediately you think it means go do more, push harder, add something else to my to do list. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm not talking about hustle. I'm talking about return. Returning to something that makes you feel like yourself again. Returning to one thing that still makes your brain lean in, lean forward. Something that makes your soul raise his eyebrows and go, oh, hey, I remember this. I had a client once who loved to create, to paint. She was an artist and a good one. And she used to do murals, full pieces, beautiful work. She was amazing. And over time she just stopped. Got busy with life. Life took over, and she just never found the time to be creative and paint again. And it wasn't that she didn't have the space, cuz she had the space, but she didn't think, well, that she had the permission. She didn't even know if she still had the talent. And so I told her, I said, look, you have this room right here. You have your supplies right here. Why don't you set it up? Just set it up. And once a week, sit in that space. Just go down there and sit for a few minutes and see if it calls you. See if anything stirs. And she did. And it felt good. Not life-changing, not dramatic, just good. It didn't become her new career or a daily ritual, but it cracked something open. It gave her access to herself again. That's what re engagement looks like. It's not about reliving the past, it's about creating a present that has texture again, feeling. That's what wakes the nervous system up. Not doing more, but doing something that matters, even if for 20 minutes. Something that reminds your body, hello, we're still here. Because healing doesn't always come with a bang. Sometimes it comes in the form of a brush in your hand, or a song in your ears, or a walk with no goal, just a walk, or a moment that's yours and yours alone. You don't need to know what will come of it. It doesn't matter. You just need to be willing to try. You do it for everyone else, right? This time, I want you to let it be for you. You know, I hope my mom's not listening to this because I'm getting ready to tell her age. But my mom is 89, and I want her to be proud of it. I'm proud of it for her. And she's a beautiful woman. And every day she sits at her kitchen table and she works word problems. She has one of those books about an inch and a half thick that you can get at Ollie's or Walmart or anywhere. Any book place, anywhere. And she works them. And she does quite a few throughout the day. And when she's sitting in the car, if we drive her somewhere and she's sitting there for any period of time, what does she do? She pull out her problems. And I asked her, Mom, why are you always doing that? And she says, I've got to keep my mind sharp. And I watch her. It's not because she's trying to prove anything, but because she knows that the moment you stop using it, you start losing it. It even reminds me of Katherine Johnson from Hidden Figures, the mathematician who could still run complex problems even in her 90s. I remember watching this interview on TV, and she was sitting there talking, and they asked her this complex problem, and she just ran it off right there in her mind, sharp as ever, because she never stopped using her brain. This is a lifetime thing. If you want to stay viable, sharp, connected to yourself, to others, to life, you have to use the muscle. And I'm not talking just about your body, but yeah, you got to use that one too. So get in the gym or do something in your house. The mind, the focus, that internal rhythm that says, hello, I'm still here. I still matter. That's what I'm talking about. Use that muscle. So this week, I don't want you to just go through the motions. Don't wait until you feel better. I want you to choose one thing that moves your mind, even just a little bit. I'm not asking you to change your whole life. But what I am asking you is don't let your voice go quiet. Don't let your presence go dim. Don't let that incredible, beautiful brain of yours waste away because no one gives you permission to want more. You don't need permission. You need a starting point. And that you already have. And if this hit you in the gut, if this made you turn around, made you really think, touched you in any way, don't just sit with it. Reach out, message me. Look, let's keep this conversation going. I want to help you. And yes, I also want you to like and subscribe, not for the algorithm. I really don't care, but so that you don't lose track of a space that actually tells the truth. You've got this. And you know what? I got you. And so until next time, this is Michelle O'Neill with the Unlearning Stress podcast. See you next time. Take care. Bye-bye. If this episode hits home, don't just push it aside. Lean into it. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And connect with me on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Substack, where we go even deeper. Links will be in the comments. And if you're ready to start unlearning the patterns that keep you stuck, keep listening because real change happens one choice at a time. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.